bright in the night sky, aren't we? At least that's what the media has to say. Well, 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 Ambanis and Adanis are buying bungalows like they doll houses and jets like they buy cycles. On the contrary, we have people who work day and night just to make ends.
Widening the gap between the rich and the poor. In simple words, we could say that the growth is a
The rich and the poor? Is it the gap between their current financial status, or is it the gap between economic liberty and opportunity? I believe we should define it as this latter. This is because the first is a static data set. It does not represent the true ground realities that we face in society. The second shows us how open and liberal our
because whenever I get the opportunity to stand here, I happen to talk a lot. You said a few times, but Madam Speaker, please allow me to speak a little more. Yes. Thank you. At the very start of this particular debate competition, and looking at the motion of the House, which said, in the opinion of the House, emerging Indian economy is widening the gap between the rich and the poor, I was actually expecting some kind of, of a fierce kind of opposition with a very kind of equally fiery and fiercely treasury bench. But what I rather found was the opposition bench was really fiery and fiercely, but the treasury bench was a little two-sided. I expected two parliamentarians here. I expected somebody like Mahua Mitra. I expected somebody like Shashi Tharoor maybe, or I expected somebody like Madam Nirmala Sitharaman, or maybe someone like Tejasvi Surya. It was indeed really nice to listen to all of you. But what I felt was missing, there was a disconnect somewhere between your discourse, between your dialogue, between your oration, and finally your rhetoric. I'm not trying to discourage you, but at the same time, I'm trying to tell you the nuances of debating. Now, when I have said this, let me also take the opportunity to actually, take the liberty, Madam Speaker, and with the permission of the House, say a few words with the audience too. I have been coming to this particular House almost on a regular basis, year after year. I've been here. But this year, what struck me was this cute reaction of the audience. I have seen cheering for the debaters here, but I wondered what stopped the audience this time from cheering equally for all the participants here. There were some loud clappings for a few students, for a few participants, and there were very quiet clappings for the rest of the participants. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not make a distinction. Please give them a big round. Which is an essential part of debating. Which is a very essential part of debating. Include that as you speak. Okay? Next. And hopping on this fact that please don't read from the written texts that you have with you. I've been hopping on that. And today I say I feel a culprit because I think you have taken me too seriously. Most of you froze when you were speaking. You didn't know what to say. You completely blacked out, you forgot, and then ultimately you just kept on thinking what to say, and then ultimately you said, okay, thank you, and you left. You have a piece of paper right with you, right? You have your notes right with you. So in a debate, it's not allowed that you should read, but it doesn't say, there is no rule in debating that says that if you miss a point, you cannot refer to what you have written. Do not freeze out. Do not freeze. You have your points written with you, you have it right in front of you, refer to it, but don't just blindly read from it. Okay? Again, another thing that struck me, okay, and which I again keep hopping.
The world today, but also in a mostly possible manner, will be the world's third largest economy by 2027 as its GDP crosses $5 trillion US. Right? And by 2047, India is clearly capable of becoming a $30 trillion US economy. Right? With the quality of life, I would say, of a developed nation. In other words, it will be Viksit Bharat. Right? It is important to mention here that India is geared to make a quantum leap toward becoming Viksit Bharat with the key structural advantages that it has, such as A, demographic dividend inwards. C, cultural legacy and heritage. I think that point needed to be discussed. A little bit more probably. And D, geographical endowments. Right? And this trajectory is particularly unbelievable since in 1947 we inherited a nation with a rich and ancient heritage but impoverished by colonization. Right? A country that accounted for over a quarter of the world's GDP till the 17th century was only but a pale shadow of its original self. And we have to emphasize that here. While it had the strength of its culture, tradition, many a tradition in fact, and heritage, the immediate task at hand was to handle the challenges of a basic survival at the time, 1947. Since this constituted the priority while remaining focused on addressing the challenges of poverty, ignorance, and disease. Many of you did focus on healthcare services, I found that. And today here we are with the best of minds working toward, realizing what the father of the nation once dreamt of. Now, astronauts, I have scribbled down some points, and I'm referring continuously to those over here. So astronauts, the widening quote-unquote gap between the rich and the poor, though widening is an epithet that the debate contenders have to consider. You have already, in fact, I would say, thoroughly considered that. And one thing is undeniable, I assume, and that is India's economic growth over the past few decades has been remarkable, we cannot deny that, and transforming the country into one of the world's largest economies. That goes without saying, of course. You have, of course, also emphasized on several points, that is, income inequality, urban-rural divide, some have stressed on that, caste and gender disparities, educational inequality, limited employment opportunities, informal on those points. But what I think is more needed to be considered is that the measures have already been taken by the government and to address this critical gap, I would say. For example, some of you did mention inclusive economic policies like progressive taxation and redistributive policies. That is one. Number two, investment in education and skill development, including universal access to quality education and skill development programs, phenomenally. Number three, employment generation, focusing on labor-intensive industries and rural development programs. Number four, addressing social inequality, like affirmative action and social inclusion, and gender equality measures. And five, balanced regional development, such as targeted investments. Some of you spoke on targeted investments in underdeveloped regions and decentralization of economic activities. Right? So, as you can see, addressing the issue fact, that requires comprehensive and inclusive policies that promote distribution fares, ensure equal access to opportunities, and create sustainable livelihoods for all sections of the society. And India is already doing that, isn't it? Already focusing on these multi-pronged areas and aspects of the issue, with the help of which, of course, the country aspires now to move toward a more balanced and just society where economic growth comes to benefit everyone. Now, you see, I would like to conclude by saying that all these points, given the fact that all these points, are crucial in their very nature, and debating on these points does require that criticality, right? That aspect of criticality. You have to think on them and then speak, not just memorizing data and delivery. That's exactly what happens. Something that has happened with some of the participants. So, you see, therefore, the participants have to possess, of course, strong communication skills, which goes without saying, the ability to think critically and analyze information, not memorize information. Right? And the capacity to construct and defend arguments effectively, which many of you did. I'm not wrong, of course. They should also be, you should also be adept in active listening, And many of you did exhibit active listening skills, I've seen. Understanding their opponents or your opponents' viewpoints and adapting your arguments accordingly, whereby you show confidence and composure, respect others' opinions, and debate with fairness, right? And bear empathy, whereby you can understand and consider your opponent's perspectives. A quality that can help you anticipate counter-arguments and build stronger cases. Right? So listening skills, also important. So, I do understand that you would improve further, because this experience was unique, I must say, right? And you must thank the organizers. This was excellent, but you see, you have to grow further, because, as you know, as they say, the sky is the limit, isn't it? So with that, I thank the organizers, particularly Swami Videshananda Ji Maharaj, Swami Divya.
For beautifully conducting the program and also for your concluding speech. Before we announce the result, we are left with ma'am on customary vote of thanks, and for which may I invite on the stage Swami Videshananda Ji Maharaj, who is Director.
A very good evening to each and everyone who is assembled here today. In scriptures, we speak of expressing opinions in 4 different ways. One is like a samvada, just like how a guru speaks to a disciple, Guru Shishya Samvada, we say, where you almost take the opinion of the guru, you make question, but mostly you accept to the line of thought. The second one is what we call as vada, where your sole purpose is to find out the truth. The proposition for which you are asked to debate or to speak. The third way is said to be the jalpa, where your motive is only to win. You don't worry about establishing the facts. And the fourth is basically you do not concentrate on the point that you are supposed to speak. You are always willing to, make the other person, the opposition, to show him or her in a bad light. You don't really worry about the exact topic of the discussion or the opinion to be expressed. With all the fairness, I believe today you all have debated really well. I came towards the flag end of the program because I was, on Sundays I am more engaged with various other activities. Next month we are having a spoken Sanskrit session here in this Vivekananda Cultural Center. A 10-day spoken Sanskrit classes will be held, 20 hours free of cost. All of you, are invited to attend. It will be in the evening. So I was actually planning for that. What I heard, and I echo with Dr. Dr. Surajit, I really love him. Every year, Sir is here, and the way he summarizes at the end of the debate, really, I should note down all the points. It's wonderful. That especially the treasury was more or less docile. I observed almost 8 to 10 candidates towards the end, and here the aggression was a little more. The thing is, the points that you make, it's not something that is very bookish. It should also come from a little bit of experience. Just tom-tomming the words without having the knowledge will not make much of an impact. So what do you need to do? You have to study in depth. That is one point that I would like to make. I would like to thank first of all the students who are here. You know, on Sundays it's so difficult to conduct events in Shillong, in Meghalaya itself. I have seen, that's why we have to hold our recitation competitions in Hindi, in Bengali, in Sanskrit, etc. on Sundays, because mostly the local participation is very less. For debate, we have got more than 40. I was just sharing this with one of our judges today. Sunday is not a rest day. You should always. Today we have got 45 participants on the stage, and this is an exposure that you have got. Another point that we are seeing very much lacking. That I was discussing again about this point. That here in Shillong, students are not willing to express themselves. I am handling classes for Lady King now on yoga. They are doing internship. At the end of the session of my 45 minutes lecture, if I say, do you understand? No reply. Don't you understand? So it becomes very difficult. So this is one thing, you are getting a lot of exposure here in Vivekananda Cultural Center. Throughout the year, we are having so many events.
Purpose of the competition, there will be one first, second, third. So let us announce first the team result. In team, the runners-up team this time is representing BK Bajoria School, Cleric Jaden Banyan and Hazarla Jaden CL. Please stand up. Please stand up. Okay. He is already experienced twice last year also. So congratulations. Many congratulations. Thank you. And champion. Who could be the champion? Audience? Okay. Representing Arya Public School, Angad Prabhakar and Kriti Nirmani. Kriti Nirmani and Angad Prabhakar. Very well done. Very well done. So coming to individual prizes, we did not get any recommendation for any humorous speaker, and Dr. Shyam was mentioning about it. The wits is missing. Okay. We had many years back, probably we got several humorous speakers, but last many years we have not got a single one. So we have gone for the third best speaker, and it is Nishat Anand from St. Anthony's College. Thank you. Congratulations. This year's second best speaker is Sanskriti Mudgal from St. Edmund's College. And this year's champion of debate competition, Angad Pradhan from Army Public School. Angad Pradhan. So